Good evening. We are right at the end of the week. Thank you so much for joining us here, where we keep you up to speed with the stories that truly matter. My name is Wakio Mzenge. Our sign language interpreter is Rhoda Nyamai. Let's get started with stories on security. Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen says the country remains generally safe despite rising cases of organized criminal gangs, which he now describes as the biggest threat to security. The CES says the government has intensified a crackdown on the groups, with several suspects already arrested and arraigned in court following operations in Nairobi and Kitale. Mudhoni Brenda reports.
Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen has assured Kenyans that the country is safe.
Your Excellency, this city is safe and the country is safe. In fact, our country is safer than ever.
Murkomen says the government has made progress in addressing security challenges, including border threats, banditry and robbery. Speaking at the Africa Gospel Church in Karen, Nairobi, the CS says the security has been strengthened through increased investment in the sector.
Equipment modernization, Your Excellency, recent recruitment has given us even greater impetus. We're expecting the recruits to be out in 4 months. You've done a lot in terms of investing in this sector.
However, the CS warned that politically instigated violence remains a major concern.
The greatest threat to our national security is not from the slums of this republic, it's not from the young people, it's from leaders, Your Excellency, who, consciously, they wear a tie, they are in air-conditioned offices, they are called Mheshimiwa or potential Mheshimiwa, but Your Excellency, plan every day how to recruit goons and gangs to terrorize the people of Kenya.
The CS says the government has put in place measures to deal with the gangs, with many suspects already arrested.
There has been, and we will continue having the crackdown in this city. Last week we arrested over 100 goons that are being used to terrorize citizens. And last week also in Kitale, which had become a very dangerous town, we arrested over 200 goons. That crackdown will continue, and the security forces are properly instructed to ensure that this nation becomes safe.
At the same time, Murkomen has urged Kenyans to register as voters, assuring them of adequate security during the next general elections.
And as we prepare for the next election, I want to assure the people of Kenya to be ready, register yourself, get your ID, get your voter's card. It will be a safe elections because we will provide the necessary security that will protect the people of Kenya.
All eyes are now on the government to see whether these measures will be effective in curbing gang-related violence. Mudhoni Brenda for TV47.
And former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua says he is not ready to reconcile with his successor, Kithure Kindiki. Gachagua claims Kindiki has attempted to reach out through intermediaries, but says there are reasons he does not accept the overtures. TV47 Sydney Chazima reports.
Soprano. Tensions between Rigathi Gachagua and Kithure Kindiki have continued to play out in public, with both leaders exchanging criticism in recent days.
Wewe Soprano, alikuna mtu alikuchagua. Kazi umefanya tangu kuwe waziri ni kuua vijana ya Gen Z na kulete pombe, ile nilikuwa nimemaliza. Kazi yako ni kufuata kasongo, unalabalaba hema, na wewe ni mwanaume, wewe ni bure kabisa.
These guys stand zero chance. They have zero chance. They cannot lead nobody, they cannot lead no one, they cannot lead nowhere.
Gachagua has alleged that Kindiki is seeking to ease the standoff through intermediaries.
Yesterday, Professor Kindiki sent a friend to talk to me that we are too harsh on him and we should go slow on him. And we should forgive him if we have wronged him.
However, he says he's not prepared to reconcile, citing what he describes as key areas of disagreement.
I can confirm to the people of Kenya, when William Ruto made a decision to abduct and kill the Gen Zs, he gave that assignment to Professor Kindiki. And he is the one who did it with brutal efficiency. Much as I have heard your cry, I'm unable to forgive you because even you should have mercy on the parents of those young children you killed. Professor Kindiki, we are unable to forgive you for sabotaging a program that would have saved an entire generation. Today, the illicit brews are back, and our children are in trouble. For those two things, much as you are crying, we'll make sure that you and William Ruto go home one way.
Kindiki has also responded to the claims, defending his position.
Inawezekanaje mtu akuwe deputy president alafu afukuzwe na wabunge wote wa Kenya mpaka mbunge wa kwake? Mimi nauliza, hata nikipata matatizo Kenya hii, ati sasa kina Pato na Murugara ndio wanaenda kule kusema huyu mtu akwende kabisa, si nitakuwa nimeanguka kabisa? Kama ni watu ya mbali sawa sawa, lakini mpaka mbunge wa kwako ati Pato sasa ndio hapo anasema huyo mtu akumpafu akwende. Naweza kujichukia sana.
The exchanges highlight the continuing tensions between the two leaders, with no clear sign of a resolution. Sydney Chazima, TV47.
Politics and politricks. Moving on, tensions within the Orange Democratic Movement continue to surface as conflicting voices emerge from the party's leadership. At a Linda Mwananchi rally in Nakuru County, Siaya Governor James Orengo sparked reaction after declaring himself the party's leader. Mike Kialo reports.
Siaya Governor James Orengo has stirred debate within the ODM after declaring himself the party's leader during the Linda Mwananchi rally in Nakuru at Mzenge grounds. In his address, Orengo criticized sections of the party's leadership, alleging external influence and questioning their loyalty.
Na mjue Secretary General, Katibu Mkuu ya ODM ni nani? Kwa sababu Oburu hawezi, sasa Orengo is the acting party leader of ODM. Asante.
Orengo Jaduong, you are our last line of defense. Take care of these young men.
Meanwhile, leaders allied to the Linda Mwananchi movement insist the party's direction should be determined by the National Delegates Convention, NDC, the party's supreme decision-making organ.
Mwelekeo wa kwanza ambao tulitoa, tulisema Mheshimiwa Oburu na wenzake wamenunuliwa na Ruto na wanaharibu chama cha ODM. Hiyo imeonekana ama haijaonekana? Tulisema katika mkataba na chama cha UDA ya kwamba lazima chama cha UDA kiheshimu vyama vingine. Ruto ameingia ndani ya ODM, ameingia mpaka kwa bedroom. Wangapi wanasema kasonge wancha macho bora? Asante sana.
The leaders also called for greater transparency in the government-to-government oil import deal and raised concerns over the alleged injustices against the youth.
Wamekuwa wakitudanganya ati kuna formula ya kuweka bei ya mafuta. Kumbe ni watu wawili wanakaa wanapiga hesabu ya mara ile ya kutoa na kuongeza. Ati mtu anakunyang'anya 40 bob anakurudishia 10 bob, anataka umpigie makofi. Na tunangependa kuambia Mheshimiwa Ruto, waambie wa Kenya ni kampuni gani ambazo zimeingia kwa ile mkataba ya G2G.
Hii nchi serikali kuu ina sponsor goons, itandike, iue wananchi wake. Hiyo ni ungwana.
The developments highlight growing divisions within the ODM party as different functions continue to express competing positions on the party's leadership and direction.
Walisema wanataka saizi wanataka nini? Kwa hivyo tunawaambiaje?
Kenya will change.
Mike Chelo, TV47.
From Nakuru County, let's move to Homa Bay County, where the Orange Democratic Movement ODM leaders, led by National Chairperson and Homa Bay Governor Gladys Wanga, have reaffirmed that the Memorandum of Understanding between ODM and United Democratic Alliance, which led to the broad-based government, remains in force. Speaking during a fundraiser for the Kendu Muslim Community Cultural and Resource Center in Kendu Bay, Homa Bay County, the leaders said zoning and clear power-sharing arrangements will be key in shaping their political strategy ahead of next year's election. Governor Gladys Wanga said ODM plans to launch nationwide youth conventions to ensure young people are involved in party decision-making. They also assured supporters that upcoming party nominations will be conducted in a free, fair and transparent manner.
Nataka niseme ya kwamba chama iko imara na sisi tumeamua ya kwamba tunafungua registration ya aspirants wetu wote. Na mimi nataka niambie wale watu wanataka kusimama na chama cha ODM, usiogope. 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 Tutafanya mchujo wa haki. Nominations will be free and fair. Hata mimi hapa Homa Bay kama kuna mtu anasimama na chama cha ODM, hakuje mchujo. Watu wasimame waende kwa debe.
Hakuna mahali tumesema tumesuspend talks na hakuna talks tulianza. Tumepeana intention ya kuongea. Hakuna ati mazungumzo zilianza zikakuwa suspended. Kile kitu iko, kuna a few overzealous UDA honchos ambayo walikuwa wanaongea vibaya. Na tukasema hatuwezi kubali kudisrespect sisi.
Kila mtu hapa Kenya kikatiba ako na ruhusa ya kusimama kiti yoyote anataka. Kuanzia Bedongwen mpaka president. Wewe simama tu. Hakuna mtu amekataza wewe kusimama. Lakini vyama hapa duniani. Ukienda huko Amerika, uende huko London, huko England, ukuje hapa Kenya, kila chama iko na stronghold yake.
Away from politics and to a rather unfortunate incident, police in Narok County are holding a former local administrator over the killing of a 48-year-old man in what investigators say stemmed from a land dispute. Athman Said reports.
Detectives in Narok South have launched a murder investigation after a man was killed during a suspected land dispute. Police say the victim was attacked at his home in Simendwa village by a group of people who had visited for talks over a disputed parcel of land.
So wao walikuja wakaanza kutufamia, sisi hatukuwa tunajua ni vita ndio walikuwa wanakujia. So vile walitufamia, wakamfamia ndugu yangu mmoja ambaye walikuwa wanasema yeye ndio target yao. Wakamfamia yeye, so kwa ile harakati nilikuwa najaribu kuokoa ndio wakanifamia pia na mimi.
Witnesses say the meeting was intended to resolve the dispute but turned violent.
Na watu walikuja saa 11. Wakaja wakafamia familia yetu ambaye iko upande hiyo, ambaye walikuwa na msoso wa shamba, walikuwa wanasosania maneno ya shamba. Na hiyo maneno ilikuwa imeenda kwa serikali.
Residents are now calling for those responsible to be brought to justice.
Naomba tu serikali wachukue hatua ile na stahili. Tumeona unyama tumetendewa. Na sisi hatuna mambo mengi. Kama familia tunasema tu amani itakuja wakati tumepewa kitu inaitwa justice.
Police have detained a former chief in connection with the incident. He is expected to appear in court. The body of the deceased has been taken to the mortuary as investigations continue. Athman Said Mwamlisho for TV47.
And more than 3,000 members of the Anglican Church of Kenya in Kapenguria held a peaceful procession in Makutano on Sunday in a bid to end a 5-year leadership dispute that has divided the diocese. The faithful gathered at SCK Kilimanjaro grounds after a unity walk in what they described as a step towards reconciliation between rival factions. The diocese has been divided into 2 groups, each holding separate services, a situation that has led to court battles and kept some members away from worship.
Hii ni ishara kwamba Waanglikana wa Kapenguria wanahitaji kupata uaskofu wao, na huo uaskofu kupata tungetaka haki iweze kufanyika na kufuata taratibu ya kanisa.
Clergyman Joshua Korinyang says members are now pushing for peace and have called for an end to intimidation.
Hivyo sisi kama Wakristo hatuwezi kukaa nyumbani na kuachia shetani aweze kutunyang'anya huko. Tunakuja pamoja ili tuchengane mambo ya kiroho na tuweze kuchenga imani yetu kama Waanglikana.
He has urged Anglican Church Archbishop Jackson Ole Sapit to fast-track the reconciliation process and organize free and fair elections for a new bishop.
Structure yetu ni kukuangalia tu kama baba. Uweze kufanya na kuharakisha mwaka 4, mwaka 5 unaelekea kuisha na wewe huko baba na unawajia watoto huko kukawanyika mara mbili si jambo la muhimu.
Other members led by Elizabeth Longiro say they are ready to reunite and are calling for swift elections in line with the church constitution.
Ningeomba sana baba wetu Archbishop wetu Ole Sapit utusaidie sana. Tuharakishe mambo ya uchaguzi, kanisa iendelee. Unaona umati vile iko. Siku ya leo imetipitika ya kwamba hakuna Waanglikana wametoroka wameenda kwingine. Wako tu pamoja. Na siku moja baba yetu Archbishop, siku moja ikitimia, tufanye mambo yetu kwa kikatiba. Utaona jinsi Mungu atajidhihirisha kwa hii diocese na tutaenda mbele sana.
The reconciliation process is ongoing with hopes of ending the long-standing dispute and restoring unity in the diocese. As we keep tabs of this developing story on matters fuel, President William Ruto has defended high fuel prices amid growing public concern, saying Kenyans' costs reflect its status as a middle-income economy. Sheila Chelangat reports.
In Nairobi, a litre of petrol is retailing at about 197 shillings, placing Kenya among the most expensive fuel markets in East Africa, the price higher than in neighboring countries such as Uganda and Tanzania, raising questions over cost differences in the region.
Our neighbors are least development countries. There's a big difference. If you want to compare Kenya fairly with others, compare Kenya with other middle-income countries. That is how you will get the figures right.
He also attributed price pressures to global factors affecting fuel supply.
Middle-income countries like Kenya possibly have higher prices than Kenya, or the same.
The remarks come after the passage of the Value-Added Tax Amendment Law, which reduces VAT on petroleum products from 16% to 8%.
Because when I hear many people threatening you, saying they will bring Nairobi to a close, and I stop and wonder, how does it help if you threaten Kenyans with chaos, if you threaten to bring Nairobi to a close because of fuel prices? How will that help to bring the price of fuel down?
Tax and levies continue to account for a significant share of the pump price, a policy the government says supports infrastructure development.
The 6,000 kilometers we are constructing at the moment in Kenya is equivalent to all the tarmacs in our neighboring country, which has been built for 60 years. Sasa jamani, tujue vile mambo inaendelea. And we are setting our standards even higher. We want to do another 28,000 kilometers of tarmac in the next 7 years.
Fuel prices remain a key concern for consumers, with pressure mounting on the government to deliver long-term solutions. Sheila Chelangat for TV47.
And civil society groups are calling for an immediate suspension of gold mining activities in Western Kenya. citing allegations of fraudulent land deals and police brutality. Activists say mining companies operating in Kakamega County, Vihiga County, and Siaya County may have bypassed legal consent processes. They allege that some land transactions were authorized using fraudulent documents, including the identities of deceased individuals. The claims followed deadly clashes between police and protesters in Ramula in Siaya County. Activists are now calling for an independent investigation into alleged human rights abuses and claims of intimidation within local communities.
Community members reported that lawful procedures for land access and acquisition were not followed. There is no evidence that free, prior, and informed consent was obtained, and affected persons were not meaningfully involved in decision-making processes. Community members, there are also serious concerns regarding integrity of the consent process. Community members reported cases of consent being obtained fraudulently.
We call upon the Director of Criminal Investigations to urgently investigate these allegations, ensure that officers under his command act within the law, remain impartial, and do not facilitate or enable the violation of community rights.
Kama mimi naweza kuwa sikujua ni nani aliandika hiyo jina mzee kwenda kwa orodha zingine huko, ati yeye nakubali, na yeye alikufa kitambo. Alikubali mwaka gani?
Elsewhere, the president's advisor on women's rights, Harriet Chigai, has called on women across the country to lead community empowerment initiatives aimed at boosting economic growth and mentoring young people. During the PAG Kenya National Women's Conference in Vihiga County, Chigai said women have the potential to drive local development through organized group projects, including community feeding programs. She also expressed concern over the rising number of widows in the county, currently estimated at about 50,000, and say the government is working to connect them to economic opportunities.
Kina mama tumesomezwa mambo ya finance and economic empowerment, na tumesema tujiweke kwenye vikundi ili tuweze kupata zile fedha ambazo serikali zimewezeka kando, sivyo? Mimi ningependa ile masomo ambayo tumepata tusiwe wale wa kuomba, si ndio? Hiyo 500 mnapatiwa kila siku, unaweza pata zaidi ya hiyo.
We can only empower our families when we also allow our children to go to school. Take care of your children. Department ya watoto will ensure that we work with you. We train you as parents to protect the children of Kenya.
President William Ruto has arrived in Italy for a 3-day official visit aimed at strengthening economic and diplomatic ties between Kenya and Italy. While in Rome, President William Ruto is expected to visit Piazza Venezia, where he will lay a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier. He's also expected to hold talks with Italian President Sergio Mattarella and Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni. The president will later attend the closing session of the Kenya-Italy Business Forum as both countries seek to expand trade and investment links.
Have had negotiations of a number of instruments that will be signed on the margin of the visit. And these instruments will be very, very critical because some of them are in form of grants to support livelihoods development, climate change in Kenya to the tune of around 8 million. We have MOUs in 8 million. There is one for 4 million euros and another one for 3.9 million euros. Both of them to support issues relating to climate change and ecosystem restoration. Both in like Cherengani forest restoration is one of them. And then we have another one on livelihoods support and climate change.
With that, let's take a short break and we'll be right back.
Know your heroes. Timothy Cheruyot.
Mimi nilianza kukimbia nikiwa primary kidogo. Mahali nilijua sasa niko na talent nikiwa form 3. Na kulikuwa na wenzangu wa nyumbani walikuwa wameshakimbia, tunaona kwa gazeti, tunaona kwa TV. Lakini nilimaliza form 4 nikaenda nyumbani. Maisha ikanikonga 2012, 2013 mpaka nikafanya mchengo. Hakuna kitu sijafanya. Alafu babangu 2014 akaniambia, we Timothy, unaweza kimbia. Kwa hivyo tafuta kambi, alafu wenda huko nitakusaidia kulipia. Silver. Yeah, 2016, Gold Coast, bet silver in 2017 again, World Championship, London. And then I got silver in Commonwealth Games in Gold Coast. And then 2019, I got gold in World Championship Doha. And then 2020 Olympics, I got silver. I win 5 times Diamond. Kubeba bendera ya Kenya juu ni kitu mzuri sana. Kitu namwambia at least wenye wadogo wanaanza mazoezi, wako discipline na wajitegemee kwa Mungu.
Know your heroes is sponsored by Daka na Tatua. 30% of proceeds go towards nurturing talent at grassroots level.
Azam TV, your favorite pay TV, just got even better. Effective 1st March 2026, we have added 5 amazing new TV channels to keep you entertained day and night. AMC Movies and Nolly Africa for the best of Nollywood movies and series. Music Box Hits and Music Box Dance for non-stop music hits and dance. And Manchester United TV for football fans. More movies, more music, more sports. All in one place.
Revisha ushinde. Open and save in your KCB Gold Savings account and win. Revisha ushinde. KCB, for people, for better.
Welcome back. This is TV47 Prime for unrivaled updates on stories happening here and beyond. For nearly a century, gold has been mined from the soils of Kakamega County, fueling livelihoods, building fortunes, and sustaining communities. But now, beneath the glitter of that legacy, growing fears are emerging. Cracks are appearing in buildings. Land is giving way, and in one shocking case, floodwaters unearthed the remains of a man buried 5 years ago. County officials warn that Kakamega may be sitting above an extensive network of unmapped underground tunnels, some dating back decades. Is the county expanding above ground while collapsing below it? TV47's Violet Auma now takes us inside this special investigation, the Golden Time Bomb.
86-year-old Clement Kwasira stands at the edge of what used to be his son's land. This is where the house once stood and where his son's grave once lay. In 2019, heavy rains pounded Shivakala village on the outskirts of Kakamega town. Water rushed through this compound like a river.
Elder wa hapa akanipigia simu akasema kuja uone. Nikapata sasa kaburi linaonyesha. Nikasema sasa hii mambo lazima nichukue hatua.
The grave had opened. The dead had returned to the surface. Clement says he knocked at every office he could think of. No help came.
Nikapata ablution block imeenda. Na hiyo nyumba ya kuishi imelegea kabisa kabisa karibu kuenda. Nikasema, ai, hii ni mambo. Nilijaribu kuenda kwa serikali kunisaidia kwa county. Nilitembea huko, hata watu wa maofisi ya disaster, ofisi ya governor mwenyewe walikuwa wakiniambia, uje baada ya siku 2, baada ya siku 3 tutakusaidia. Nikakaa tu hivyo, nikaendelea, lakini sikupata usaidizi wowote.
Clement was forced to sell part of his ancestral land to exhume and rebury his son. The burial, he says, happened at night at their ancestral home in Shirulu village in Shinyalu sub-county.
Mimi nilienda kuzika kwa kipande kile ambacho nilikuwa mkatia kama mtoto wangu. Na kutoka siku hiyo mimi tena nilikuwa nimeona vibaya, nimehurumika sana, hata sikurudi hapa.
Today is the 4th time he has returned to this piece of land after burying his son. The pain of what happened is evident in his eyes.
So it was just like throwing some rubbish into a pit and covering it up. I did regret. Up to now, I still, when I think about that, I'm not very happy at all.
Inside their home, Moses' mother struggles to speak. Her son was the family's pillar. For more than 15 years, he paid her hospital bills. He provided food and held the family together.
Hakuna nguvu. Tumekwisha nguvu. Tumesutuka sana. Mtoto wangu Moses alikuwa na nunua shamba huko Kakamega. Alikianga nyumba huko. Maji ilimtoa. Tuliona maneno. Yeye ndiye alikuwa anakungoja hapa. Kila kitu alikuwa huyo mtoto. Moses alikuwa mtoto mzuri. Hata kunipeleka hospitali alikuwa ananipeleka. Sasa siku hizi mimi iko tu bure. Nina shida sana.
The second burial took place without any ceremony. The community abandoned him as many feared to come close to what they termed as the spirits.
Ilikuwa tu mambo ya kumchukua na kuweka ndani kwa sababu ilikuwa sasa ni mifupa tu. Ndio tulimzika kama unazika tu mzoga wa punda au kitu kama kile.
Nimelia hapa, nimelia hata nimekonda.
The County Department of Disaster and Risk Management believes the collapse may have deeper causes.
For Clement, that is this home belongs to the son, and they gave us a report that their home is being swept away. There is a deep gully that was developing in their compound. For sure, we assessed and found out that this is what was happening, and because no one was inhabiting the home at that time, but later on, he came back with a report that the grave of his son had been affected by this gully because it had expanded to where the house is, to where there was this grave, and he had to exhume the remains of the son to another place. There's a deep gully at Shivakala Primary School that was really, it was posing great danger to the pupils of this school, because it's just at their gate, and it had eaten up the whole road towards the bridge where they cross over when they are coming to school and going to their homes. And we had, as the county government now, to chip in and do a reconstruction.
For Clement, the disaster has already struck. But what happened here may be a warning of something far larger.
I don't have any plan about it because I'm still annoyed about the whole area. And I even don't care what can happen to this land.
It is hard to believe that this deep gully was once someone's home.
He had bigger dreams, a plan to put a commercial building and rental houses. But when the calamity struck, the family was faced with an unimaginable reality. Today, those dreams remain buried inside the erosion. Gold mining in Kakamega began in the early 1930s during the colonial gold rush. British companies caved extensive underground tunnels, some stretching more than 30 kilometers and plunging up to 300 meters deep. When they left over 70 years ago, they abandoned the tunnels, unmapped and largely forgotten. Today, artisanal miners follow those same shafts. At Rosterman area in Lurambe sub-county, mining never stops. This is where the colonial miners first sank a shaft. Today, hundreds of pits dot the landscape. Men disappear underground. Women crush rocks. Dust fills the air. The sound of crushers echoes across the area. Many here rely on gold mining. Meet Maureen Minyoso, one of the women working here.
Hapa Rosterman kwa saa hii gold moja, point moja ni 115. Gram moja ni 15,000. 15,000. Ambapo kilo moja it's around 105,000.
Licha ya changamoto mingi, bado tunaamini tu tutapata. Nikipatikana tunasikia tena vizuri, na changamoto zikiingia tunaumia tu tukijua mwisho tutapata.
Much of the trade flows through brokers and middlemen. Officials quietly acknowledge the informal gold economy may be far larger than official royalty records suggest.
There's a time we got royalties worth more than 2 million. So if you calculate, that is 20% of what the total profit they get, the 2 million. So the mining economy could be bigger than what we have on paper, because most of the gold goes out. We have brokers and middlemen who get it right from the artisanal miners.
At Khayega grounds, rows of coffins lie side by side. 7 miners died in the Sigalagala mine collapse. Families gather quietly, some weeping, while others just staring silently at the wooden caskets, both here to give the final goodbye. Mine collapses are among the most frequent reported disasters in the county.
There is a rather similar, on weekly basis, we have a report when it's during rainy season. Major incidences, I can say annually. We have a major incident where more than 5 lives have been lost in a mine.
But mining here carries its own myth. Among many miners, death underground carries meaning. When a mine collapses and someone dies inside, the miners believe that they are too close to striking a jackpot.
Yeye inakuanga inapea mtu morali kabisa. Ukiona kama mtu amekufia mahali wanajiona kweli hiyo kitu iko mbele. Iko kali tena. Sasa inabidi tu wenye umebaki lazima mfanye bidii tena muende mngangane mpate hiyo kitu.
It is a belief passed down through generations, and it explains why miners often return to dangerous shafts even after deadly collapses. In the 2022-2023 financial year, she says her office formally requested a comprehensive geological survey of colonial tunnels to prevent the collapses. To date, no updated underground map exists.
We really do not have a good picture because we need the geologists to advise where the tunnels are and what we are expected to do as a city if we have these tunnels within our town. This is because there are deep gullies within town that have in the past even caused problems to homes.
Here, prosperity comes at a cost. Mercury used in gold processing seeps into rivers. Fish stocks decline. Farmers irrigate crops with contaminated water. Noise from crushers echoes through residential areas. Across Kenya, between 250,000 and 300,000 artisanal miners depend directly on mining. More than 1 million Kenyans rely on the sector for survival. In Kakamega alone, officials estimate between 80,000 and 100,000 miners operate across Shinyalu, Lurambi, Ikolomani and Huisero areas, many without licenses.
Artisanal miners also have a space. They have been given a position. We have discussed with the PS. They will be licensed. The licensing of artisanal miners will be done through a committee. So we have everything, and everybody is going to get a share. So artisanal miners should not worry that we now have commercial mining.
We need more education. We need more support from the government. And we need the government to associate with itself with small-scale miners and artisanal miners.
Nationally, mining contributes roughly 1% of Kenya's GDP. Kenya produces roughly 3 to 5 tons of gold annually, but most of it comes from informal mining. In the recent past, the government announced that something even bigger lies under the soils of Bushiangala and Isulu in Ikolomani sub-county. Exploration studies estimate that the Isulu-Bushiangala belt may hold gold deposits valued at up to 683 billion shillings. International mining company Shatter Gold has already begun plans to mine the gold. But the discovery has triggered tension. Hundreds of residents face relocation and many refuse to move. Protests erupted. Protests broke out. 3 people died, including a police officer, after locals declined to attend a public participation exercise organized by NEMA. Ikolomani MP Bernard Shinali supports mining, but says it must be organized. Shinali says his mining bill in Parliament is a reprieve not only to artisanal miners, but also the county government through royalties.
All gold that is mined, number one, will get the right prices. Number two, it will be illegal to transport gold. How? We are establishing cooperatives which will be licensed to transport gold, and they are known where they are going to sell. They take to the refinery, they are paid.
The County Environment Executive Member Penina Mukabane does not mince her words.
As it is now, it's like we are sitting on a time bomb. The artisanal miners do not have the necessary machinery. They do not have the necessary technological skills that are required for them to be able to go even more than 150 meters.
She confirms that several colonial gold corridors run directly beneath populated areas. Among them is the Muranda Corridor, stretching from Kakamega town through Shisasari to Shinyalu and Kwirenyi. Another is the Sigalagala Corridor, running from Rosterman through Shivakala and Shirere to Mukumu before extending to Sigalagala. Some of these tunnels pass beneath residential neighborhoods and even parts of Kakamega town itself.
Apart from the gullies, you just see a building cracking. Sometimes you see a building sinking, like what happened in Kayega. In Kayega, a building was sinking and we demanded they demolish. In Sigalagala, there were that cracks, and it was a specific pattern. Like if it's a line like this, you find this house is as cracked. Then a few meters after this one, the next house also is cracked. There is one particular person, we even told him to bring down the building. Instead, he went ahead and started painting the building so as to hide the cracks and get other clients.
One of the challenges has been that artisanal miners, they even go deeper than what's allowed in law, because they're not supposed to go more than 5 meters down. But you find them, they're going even up to almost 20 or thereabouts meters down.
Some of them go up to about even 10, 20 kilometers long. That's why some will die there and you will never know.
Watu wanataka tuende paka futi karibu tuseme 400 500.
The mines can collapse under weight, and again because of a lack of systematic monitoring of the conditions in the mines, it is not easy to tell when it is likely to collapse. So you find that as they go underground to mine, there's a lot that is at risk. They are very highly exposed to the dangers of mine collapse, and that is why we need better enforcement, we need professional design, we need the shafting to be professional.
Governor Barasa says there is an urgent need for comprehensive geotechnical surveys to determine the structural stability of the affected areas and to establish the extent of underground risk. An environmental assessment by NEMA, he notes, will be critical in determining appropriate activities and recommending mitigation measures to prevent further disasters.
The bigger conversation is around geotechnical surveys, which should inform some of the activities around that area. You know, most of our people, they may not really be having the knowledge of the environmental risks.
The county's annual emergency fund stands at 50 million shillings. In an event of a large-scale collapse, they admit it will not be enough.
We don't want to have those fatalities that we've witnessed in the past. We are going to exploit the mineral resources to be beneficial to the people of Kakamega and not a curse.
Any mineral, where it is, if it's not handled well, is danger. If it's handled well, worldwide, from history, it is helpful.
Issues of disaster management, it is really a national government function. But because we are the first point of call, we are always at hand to respond. We want the functions to be bundled, transferred, costed, so that funds should follow functions.
What we are doing as a department, we want to establish the exact risk and then now reach out to national government for support, because we tried reaching out to them for support and they told us they want us to establish the magnitude of the risk.
Experts warn that Kenya's most detailed geological map in some regions like Kakamega are more than 50 years old. Dr. Nashon Adero, Dean of the School of Mines and Engineering at Taita Taveta University, says Kenya's Mining Act of 2016 recognizes artisanal miners, but enforcement remains weak.
County governments are in charge of regulating the practice of artisanal miners, but the question is, have artisanal miners been empowered with the skills they need, with the capital they need? Because if they are to advance their practice, they need to move beyond the rudimentary equipment that they have to get safe and modern equipment.
Many miners are legally restricted to shallow depth, yet some extend beyond the required depth.
When you go up to 100 meters down, that's no longer mining, and you cannot guarantee security and safety of your people.
Without a digital mapping and geotechnical surveys, urban planning remains reactive and the risk remains invisible.
We have a very old geological map of Kenya, and it is high time it was updated. That background map is critical, and in this age it has to be a digital map.
Experts say there is need to consider broader environmental and public health impacts, including noise pollution, an issue he notes has been largely overlooked in areas like Bushiangala, where more than 10 crushers operate within a small radius, posing potential hearing risks to nearby residents.
We need professional design, professional support. We have engineering surveyors who can take accurate measurements periodically to monitor the health conditions of buildings and similar structures, so that even before they collapse, you can get early warnings of the likely collapse of such. We just need goodwill from government, policy enforcers, law enforcers, and also the monitoring framework.
Stopping mining affects livelihoods. Demolishing unsafe buildings invites political backlash. Balancing development and safety is complicated here in the county, but nature does not negotiate.
If we say as a county government that people should stop mining, we would be lying to ourselves, because all of us are in the same country that vijana are looking for jobs.
When I go ahead and issue a stop order, and then of course my governor wants to be voted back, he'll tell them, okay, you just mine, but now avoid doing this during the rain season. You see, so it's a delicate balancing act.
160,000 people, there's no way you can stop them. What we need to do is just educate them and support them.
As the government moves to review the Mining Act, experts say public safety must remain a central priority, especially as mining activities continue to expand. Dr. Adero warns that without systematic inspection and oversight, both miners underground and communities above the ground remain exposed to unpredictable risk.
From 1950 to date, what is the condition of those shafts? Have they been inspected? Have they been monitored? So that we can say they are safe. And that is why you see, even as they are driven not to reinvent the wheel and use those existing shafts, again, their lives are in danger.
We need support. We need proper trainings. If you visit their shafts, you'll see now most of them, they are looking for wood to be able to reinforce their shafts, so that the soil does not, fall. But is this enough?
Child labor is still a challenge here. During our filming, we spotted these kids who have been in school at this time in the mines.
There are huge numbers, especially boys. Once our students are sent home for fees and the poverty around, they tend to look for money. And that at that tender age, once they test money, they'll never go back to school. We need affirmative action in our area so that no student is sent home for school fees.
Wakati huu ile serikali ilikuwa inafuatilia sana, walikuwa wanatembea hata kwa sites. Wakipata mwanafunzi mwenye ako kwa kazi, wanamuuliza uko na ID? Unajua kama anafanya kazi hapo na nyinyi mko viongozi, watu wakubwa, hata nyinyi mtachukuliwa. So hata sisi vile tuko hapa tuwezi kuruhusu mwanafunzi mwenye hajapata idea kuja kufanya kazi hapa. Kana aenda kwa shule.
Clement stands silently at the edge of the gully. This land that once held a house and his son's dream, now it holds a warning. For him, the tragedy has already happened. For Kakamega, a county built on gold and rising higher each year, the greater test may still lie beneath, because under this green jewel of Western Kenya, time may be running out.
As money exchanges hands in the mining business, profit often takes priority over safety. Beneath this ground, dangerous tunnels continue to expand, posing danger to residents and buildings above. For what seems to be a source of livelihood for some, it is actually a ticking time bomb to the entire community. Violet Auma, TV47.
Thank you so much, Ms. Alma, for that very extensive report. The golden bomb it is. Let me just get a little bit of your feedback. I think for me, the whole myth of someone has to die in the shaft for you to believe that there is gold right ahead is really disturbing. Some of you are saying this is really worrying. If gold mining is causing flooding and even exposing graves, then something has gone seriously wrong with how the work is being managed. That's Oteno from Kisumu. Mary Wanjiku from Kiambu says cracking walls and possible underground tunnels. That sounds like a major safety hazard. Authorities need to investigate before people get hurt. There's also more feedback here from Garissa County. Unearthing a grave is not just an environmental issue. It's also about respecting communities and cultural heritage. This shouldn't be happening. There's someone else here who says, Pole sana mzee, burying your child twice is not easy. And if we move to Uasin Gishu, Kipto Arapurono says if there are tunnels beneath homes, residents could be living above unstable ground. Proper surveys and transparency from the mining companies are urgently needed. Please keep sharing your feedback on that feature story on our socials, TV47 on IG, TV47 Kenya on YouTube and Facebook as well. Keep us posted with what your thoughts are on this amazing feature. Right now, let's get sporty. A controversially reversed penalty was the highlight moment of the match. As recorded league champions, Gor Mahia played Bandari to a barren draw at Kasarani Stadium. Gor thought they had benefited a free hit from the spot late in the second half after the centre referee Fanuel Omire awarded a penalty for a foul on Sharif Musa. Meanwhile, Aps Bomet have stunned Posta Rangers 3-0 while Nairobi United have defeated Muranga Seal 4-2.
Right up to the corner. Oh, this is a penalty. He was on the left side. He held position. And he's tackled in the box. The Bandari players are challenging the referee for that. But you could have seen the intention of Sharifa when he didn't release the ball at all.
First official leg of the 2026-2027 Sunshine Development Tour, East Africa, swing teed off today at Thika Sports Club with a strong field of 59 players from 8 African countries battling over 3 rounds in what will be the first time the club hosts the tour. The tournament, running from April 19th to the 21st, marks the official start of the new season following the successful East and West Africa qualifying school staged earlier this month in Limuru and Lagos, respectively. A high-quality field featuring professionals, elite amateurs, juniors, and leading female players has entered, underlining the tour's growing stature as one of Africa's leading competitive pathways to the Sunshine Tour and global golf opportunities.
I started quite early today. This was my first round and my first season of the tournaments. I started with the bedding 1, bedding 2, which took me to 2 under par. I would say we started in bad weather. It was raining.
And finally, Athletics Kenya Embu County staged county championships aimed at selecting a strong team to represent the county at the Eastern Region Games scheduled for June. The county is set to field 55 athletes across various categories, including long-distance runner Kennedy Muhia, who is preparing for the Jakarta Marathon in Indonesia in June 2026. Embu will be seeking to defend its title as reigning champions.
We are starting to spot young talents because that's the future. That's the future. We spot talents, we nurture them, so that we become competitive in the national, the regional, and the international arenas.
Game ya leo azo sikuwa ready vile juu nilitoka game za last week nikatulia, lakini ya leo nimejaribu nimepiga 11.08, lakini si ile best juu mimi napiganga 10 seconds 10.5. Hiyo ndio ilikuwa ile yangu best ya last game zenye nilikuwa nimepiga 10.7.
Deventry tukitoka hapa tukienda regionals tutabeba kikombe kama kawaida, na riadha ni Embu. Riadha ya Eastern inakuanga Embu. Alafu on May 21st tuko na mbio za watoto wakimbiaji wandogo under 20 kwenda Ulaya, na nimeona ndio wengi sana hapa. By the way, ndio wengi, almost 90% wetu ni under 20. Nimeona wasichana wamekimbia 100 meters. Ni wale ambao tungetaka waende Ulaya kukimbilia nchi yetu ya Kenya wakiweka time nzuri.
And that is all we had for you. This is TV47 Prime. My name is Wakio Mzenge. Our sign language interpreter was Rhoda Nyamai. We wish you a pleasant evening. Good night.